Everybody, welcome back with the Plapper. Platypus is the name, and Karis is the next character coming to the game. Got to apologize, I forgot to pull this character in the test server before the banner went away. However, fret not, the next character they're releasing, I did pull in the test server. That way I'll be able to just show you in-game and do that kind of stuff. But we got to make do with the websites and the translations for this time. So let's take a look at the waifu of the day. She is, I don't know what these floating things are behind her. They don't look to be connected to her. Maybe they're connected through magic. But basically, she is the big queen of the PayPals. I don't know if there's like above her. I think she's like literally the bishop or something like that. Like the cardinal in the story, she was. At least this is who Samantha kept being like, please don't make me do this. So she is, she might look nice, but I think she is not a kind person. But let's go ahead and go over her kit. I prefer this website in general for going over stuff. It just works a bit better. So for her trigger here, her trait, her passive, basically, what does she do? Has allies around her within, I think it's 5 squares of her. I don't know if it says that here. I thought it was 5 squares, but when allies around her within 4 squares of self, 5 squares of self. Okay, so that's 3 stars. So when allies around her use non-instant abilities, she will gain stacks of inspiration. Once she gets up to 9 stacks, you can't get more than 5, but once you get up to 9 stacks and your turn starts, you will remove all 9 layers. You'll consume 9 layers. If you get up to 10, over 2 rounds, then you will still have 1 left, but you'll consume 9 of them to gain light. And this is something that doesn't directly do anything. It basically makes your other skills better. You'll have some skills that have a normal version and then an under light effect version. This also increases the maximum range of them by 2 squares and reduces the energy cost. But yeah, then after you use this, you lose the light. But basically, this can't be dispelled. So as her allies around her do stuff, she gets access to a super skill. Basically, she has a couple skills here that have a different version of it. So overall, that trait is pretty underpowered, but it depends on how good the skills are, I suppose. But it's not like a Gus where you just take extra turns. Still, though, I like the idea of it. I like the PayPal thing, especially when we get up here to the glorious guidance. But energy wave and corrosion mystic, I don't remember what it's called. It's called like life loss or something. No, yeah, this is just a single target attack, deals 100% magic damage, and inflicts 3 random level 2 debuffs for 2 turns. I think it's called corrosion. It's an okay ability. It's fine. You'll probably literally never use it, but this is like the bread and butter of Abyss, right? Light of Shelter, this is not a new ability. Again, I don't even know if these are the exact same names, but you know, it's an instant speed heal if you heal them up to their max HP, or if they're unharmed. When you heal them, you get a damage and magic defense buff. It's reasonable. Lash has this. She's kind of like Lash's big sister in a lot of ways. Single target attack, 150% damage, and then you gain life drain. It says after the attack, you generate 40% life drain. I think you just heal for 45% of the damage you deal. First level and everything here is not very good. Once you get up to the 3rd level, that's when, like, of course, they could switch these around, but they're purposely trying to use Castalia. That way you have to use it on the characters, so they put the 2 things you want to get on the same level. I mean, you don't, they make a problem, they sell you the solution. But grants all allies within 2 squares of where you target glorious shield. So we can always open this up as well. I forgot to open this up ahead of time. I should have opened all the skills up, but you get, oh, here it's radiant shield, but it's a special kind of magic shield. So basically it's magic shield, not physical, which is pretty rare. There's not a lot of magic shielding in the game. Typically you don't take that much magic damage from enemies, at least in the content that they've added so far. You take mostly physical, but maybe because they're adding this, they'll change that, and you'll really want that magic tank. And then Guzman's going to be top tier. Oh, this is so good for Guzman. Last 2 rounds, it's equal to 60% of her attack value. While possessing this shield, you're immune to immobilization. If you have light, you get light protection of the living beings. I don't even know what the difference is what this does. Wait, do I? There we go. Look at that. Instead of shining, it is now light. 3 squares, it's 90% of her magic attack of the radiant shield. So it's 30%, it's 50% stronger, 30% more than it was before. Undispellable, and you get regeneration 3 and it lasts for 2 rounds, and then you're still immune to immobilization. So this is a pretty big shield, a pretty big heal. It doesn't help you against physical at all, but again, if you're going up against like a barrel or something, this is pretty good. This seems more like a PvP thing, maybe in some of the bosses. It seems reasonable, but it's not like a reason to pull the character, if I'm being honest here. But, I mean, I still like it. Let's open this as well. So, base level here, punishment for all crimes. Piercing damage. Deal 50% of the magic attack value plus 20% of the target's health value as damage to all enemies in a 3x4 area. So, already, 20% of their health as a percent. Percent attacks are they're great in the early game. Now that you're in the late game, most enemies that are tough that you care about having this effect on are just immune to it. Maybe it does count as piercing damage though for her own passive that we have coming up here. Still, it's a pretty big attack, and it's good at clearing out chaff, right? Because 50%, and then you'll also do another stack here. But let's take a look at the good version here. 75% and 30%. So it's 3x5 and 3x4. It gets another tile as well. Overall, this is still good. 2 cost, 2 cooldown. It's not like insane though, but I mean that is powerful. 75% and then 30% of their max HP in a huge area, but it's still like a little. I'm like kind of like, who cares? Yeah, it's fine, but I don't highly value these abilities again because this isn't usable all the time. You're mostly going to be using this unless you have her at 5 stars. But why do you have her at 5 stars? But because you're only going to be able to use this once every couple turns at max. You know, maybe you're lucky you're going to do it twice every cooldown, and it'll probably be off cooldown because you're using this. So I mean, it's a reasonable ability, but I'm not in love with it. Level 5 pretty much has nothing you care about, but you probably want to just take the 8% energy. Whenever you receive an attack, you recover energy. Or, you know what, honestly, Dark Shelter is pretty good. If they have a bunch of debuffs, you just get a huge damage reduction. And then we'll pull up these next 2 skills here. So these are actually both pretty darn cool. I like this one a lot. This is her aura. The French Empire, not the PayPal. They're the French now, guys. It's official. 10%, 20%, that's normal. But if you have 4 or more buffs, if I remember right, this is buffs. If we open here, right? You have 4 or more buffs, it will cause penetrating damage to be increased by 12%. So characters like Lash are going to do 12% more damage with their Pierce, and you're also getting a flat 12% increased damage, and you're reducing damage by 12%. So obviously this is a great aura for PayPal, because PayPal has lots of ways to get a bunch of buffs. So Angel could be in style again, maintaining 4 different types of buffs. And let's take a look here. I wanted to see if any of these were worded any differently. I don't think so. Okay. So overall, this is pretty good. I like this a lot. I've considered pulling the character just to get this effect, but I don't think it's actually worth it, because how many are you running a PayPal team? Almost no PayPal units are actually being used other than like, then who can we just sort by PayPal? And rarity. I mean, if we look here, I have most of the characters in the game. Are you running any of these characters? Most of the time you're not. I don't know why Miguel is. But Beryl probably is the best out of these. I know I have Garcia 5-star. We'll take a look at that tomorrow. Yeah, I just don't, you're not going to be running a PayPal team for the most part. So, oh, sorry, I want to leave that sound on. How do I do this? There we go. So even though it's good, again, it's like, this is like the best commander of a really budget team. Purge all evil. Magic damage. Prepare for 1 round. Then you inflict 130% damage to all enemies within 2 squares of the target range. So you're going to target somewhere within 3 to 4 range, and then you're going to hit everything within 2 squares of where you target for 130% damage. Fire damage inflicts dizziness. I assume this means it's stun. Yeah, so then you stun for 1 round. Attacks large characters. What is with this translation, bro? Let's find it here. Dealing 100% damage to all enemies. It does fire damage and inflicts dizziness again. It lasts for 1 round. Okay, so it inflicts dizziness for a round. Attack large character, and the damage is increased by another 100%. Okay, so if you're attacking something that takes up multiple tiles, which almost doesn't exist in the game. It literally does from the bosses, the trial bosses, but I don't even think like the Tarot bosses or any of the other bosses take more than 1 tile. I think the only enemy that takes more than 1 tile is the weapon bosses, unless I'm wrong. But it does extra damage there. After the skill is released, you basically have to skip your round. So you use it, you do nothing. Your turn comes up, you do this, and then you're done. There's other characters that have abilities like this where you get to do another attack right after that. This is not. You are investing 2 full turns to do this. Even at 230%, it's not that impressive. But then when you upgrade it here, I mean, it gets better, but I still don't think it's like nuts, you know? So you go from doing, which one is it? This is the normal, this is the light of evil. So you do 130% damage and you do the extra 100%, the same as before. It's within 5 squares instead of 2 squares though. So it's a pretty darn big range, absolutely. Oh, continue to attack all enemies within 5 squares, causing an additional 80% damage, and then you make it healing immune. Not actually healing immune, only 50% it looks like, and move down 2. This is very cool, but it's not that good. It's still 130%, and then if it's a large target, 100%. But it's likely going to be the 130%, and then just the 80% to everything else. I mean, it's good AoE, but again, you have to prepare for a turn. So this is going to be something you're going to want to pair with a Nana, just so you can actually get it off, because you don't want to target this and then have nothing, like have everything move out of the range or something. The 5 range is pretty hard to move out of the way of, but it's only 80% damage. Lowering move by 2 it's all fine. It's fine, but it's not like spend $100 to get it, you know? Charge attack, 80% damage. Next skill is increased. This is actually pretty, I like charge strike. I pretty much like it every time it shows up, but her other attack is a 1 to 3 cross, kind of a fun. I don't know if another character has a basic attack like this. You deal 2 hits of 30% magic attack value of penetration. You gain 2 layers of your passive, basically. And the skill, oh, if you have the light, though, you can actually upgrade this, your basic attack. That's kind of fun. The fact that it's twice and it's piercing, 30%, 30%, I mean, it works really good with the lash team where you're mostly doing piercing damage. Getting 2 layers of your passive is good. So even though charge and attack is good, you're going to literally need to take this in order to charge it up. But this is actually kind of interesting because it does 2 damage, 2 hits of 40%, but it gives you, if you use your 9 light, you could still use it to gain 4 more layers back. So you can get almost half of your stuff back. It's not what you want to do, but it has a huge range. This is actually a pretty darn reasonable attack because it's piercing, meaning it, even though the percentages are low, it doesn't matter because there's no defenses taken into consideration. Maybe damage negation still works, like if you have 10% damage negation. But I don't think that's super common on enemies, but it definitely, if they have 10,000 magic armor and armor, it just doesn't matter. I also believe it gets straight through shields as well. So it is actually a pretty good basic attack. Asylum, when you have no debuff and 3 or more buffs, your attacks increase by 15 and your defense by 30%. I mean, that's good. Let's take a look at her ultimate here. There's got to be 2 versions of it, right? No, there isn't, actually. This is the one that there isn't. Deals 60% damage to all enemies within 3 squares of the target range. It is area of effect damage. Applies magic defense down 3 for 2 turns. This is actually her best ability, probably. Look how big this, it's hard for you to see, but like, look at how many tiles is it? 3 tiles of range. I mean, this is a pretty big area. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it gets you, imagine how big that 5 area one is for the other ability. It hits everything, but just doing magic defense down 3, there's no cooldown. I mean, sorry, there is a cooldown, but what I mean is there's no like pre-cooldown, so you could use it on the first round of combat. Has a huge range. It does low damage, but it's okay to do low damage because it applies magic defense down 3, which is 60% magic defense down. That's pretty huge. This is like a good ability. All of our other abilities are like fine, they're cool and they're flashy, but this ultimate is good. Magic defense down 3 for 2 turns is fantastic. However, I guarantee you they will add other ways to get magic defense down 3, and magic defense down 2 is not an ability I would pay a premium for. That extra 20% is big though. You know, it lets you easily use Etta, basically. Etta, I believe, shreds 40%. I think it's 40%. And then this does 60, so just this and Etta will remove all magic defense, meaning you could use like Nungal and Hasna to their full power. You could use Beryl, but Beryl's best attack actually pierces so you don't even need, you could just use magic defense down and barrel, not even use Edda. I don't have that many good magic dealers on my team right now. I mean, I have almost every character in the game. If I'm being, I have 72 characters, so I have most characters in the game. How do I get this? Help me, help me. But not like, you know, physical, percent base, but like physical, magic. But like, they're not big hitters, you know, physical. I guess, no, I think you do physical damage based off your magic stat. No, you do magic damage off your physical stat. Okay, but you're a really good character, but you're not like what we're looking for. I just don't think that they've had enough single target, destroy everything, you know, single target, boom, poke you, you're dead. I think Beryl is still probably the best with her Choo, which does 150% damage and gives her ignore. Choo is actually insane, bro. That ability is so good. I don't know why I don't use Beryl more. But I mean, even Boom is like not that good. 30% fire damage to all enemies with one tile. How many times? 5 times. So even this is still 150% with only a 50% chance of scorch. It's just not that good. It's good, but it's not that good. This is fine. This is like all of her stuff is fine. Like, I mean, Wall of Flame was broken for the early game, but really Choo is just like, it hits hard, bro. So that's probably going to be where Karis is. I'm a little more excited for her after reading this. I don't recommend pulling for her. I don't recommend spending for her. She is not good enough for that. She is kind of supporting a team that doesn't really exist yet. I mean, you could do the PayPal team, but it's not that important. And then the team kind of builds itself in the sense there's not a lot of flexibility because you need to be able to do a bunch of buffs on all your teams. And if you want to take advantage of the piercing, you're running Lash, and then you're probably running Angel and her. And then you might want to run like Coco just to get the rest of the buffs. But then who does piercing damage? I guess I mean, there's a team there, and maybe it is better than I'm giving it credit for, but I don't think she's worth spending your resources on. I am going to do one multi because I have one multi from the login event. I used the rest of my stuff on Homa, but I am going to use one multi on her. And then if I get her, I get her. If not, I'll just progress my pity, and then I'm going to be saving for characters in the future. Not this character, probably not the next character either. I don't mind doing like one multi per character if I could save it up, but yeah, not much more than that. But yeah, that is all. Overall, I actually do think she's a really cool design character. I like her kit. I'm a huge fan of this Crystal Wave Cannon. I like the idea that she gets a bunch of stacks and then she gets to do like a Purge All Evil, a thing that hits within 8 squares. She definitely has some good AoE. If you're really lacking for AoE, she could be one of the better AoE dealers. But I don't know, not really. She's just not something my account needs. But again, I'm a little different. I have a lot of characters right now. So yeah, maybe throw a couple polls in, see if you get her. Let me know what you think about her overall. Again, a character with only 3 mobility. Is getting kind of rough in this day and age to only have 3 mobility, but Homa kind of helps fix that with her bird. But yeah, that's all for today, guys. Thank you very much. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!
On the rise, watch the views go up. Content King